Hello everyone and welcome to Lovella's Coloring. This video is going to be part 6 of all of my completed colorings. I do have a playlist of this series of videos and you can find it down below in the video description or at the end of this video. So I do have a big box of coloring books here to share with you, and I am not sure how long it's going to take, so I hope you guys have a drink and a snack or are going to color as you watch, but most of all I hope you guys enjoy. So I'm going to go ahead and clear this off and we will get started. I will see you in a second. So the first book I'm going to share with you in part 6 of all of my completed colorings is The Ink House. That is by Rory Dobner. So this book is not a coloring book, it is a storybook, and us in the coloring community love the illustration so much that we want to color in it, and it does have very nice paper to color on. So yeah, so we've been enjoying it as a coloring book. So The Ink House is on my list of books to eventually complete. It's been on that list for a couple years, but finally I'm just like, you know what, I'm going to slowly just work on this every year until it's complete. I don't want to force myself to finish something when I'm not feeling it. So usually I would just base a page or two, or if I'm using a certain combination of pencils, I'll remember to pull this out and use it in small parts in this book. So you'll see that as I flip through this beautiful book. So to get started, the first coloring is this page here with the lion door knocker. I did a base of Derwent ink tints. You can see that it's kind of warped, and I believe I used Faber-Castell Polychromos on top. Yeah, so that is my lion with emerald eyes. And the next one, I'm not sure if I'm done with this. I based it with Distress ink, colored in the tree, but I may come back and work more on this. I think I have to finish this portion up here and in the window and do a little bit more shading. So yeah, so this is like partially complete. Here I just added a little bit of the Distress ink that I had over here and just applied it on here. So I was just doing a little bit in each page. So I did this one, this little area. Like I said, if I had like pencils out, I'll open this book and just work a little section. I'm not sure what I used in here. Maybe Caran Pablo's or the Luminance, one of those. This is a page that I just based with Distress ink. So I started, but like, yeah, stopped along the way. So it was one, a double page spread that I have to come back to. Here's one that I completed. This is done with Distress ink, and then I use Posca to go over the black lines, and then I also colored it in with Caran Pablo's. I should have used the same colors for this mouse here, so this page would have been done. And then the next page is this one, another one that I just based with Distress inks. And I think I colored the chair in, but never got around to doing the rest. Then, yeah, so this book is a work in progress. Here's an example of me just coming in and just coloring in certain stuff in this book. So the butterfly and the crab. Here's a double page spread that I completed. And in this one, I use Distress inks and Derwent ink tints, Derwent Pro Color, acrylic white paint to splatter all around. I also use clear Sakura Stardust for all the glitter. I think I lined all of the butterflies. This might have been done last year in June too, I think, for Pride Month. Yeah, very fun. I think this was all with Distress ink. The Derwent ink tints was done on this side with the pail and the caterpillar and the rope. And then I did this one, which is the octopus and the sink. This is done with Tombow Erosion and Sakura Metallic on the chains. So here, the cheetah, Charlie Cheetah, was done with the Tombow dual brush pens as a base, and then I went over it with the Brute Funer. And then on this side with Huxley the Hedgehog, I colored this page with the Faber-Castell Gold Faber and the Muji colored pencils, and a little bit of white Posca on the hedgehog. Super cute. And let's see, I did this one. You can tell the background was done with Distress ink, and I think I also based the giraffe, Geraldine the giraffe, with Distress ink. I also used Derwent ink tints, I believe, on the cupcakes, the flower. I used Sargent Art Supreme and Derwent Color Soft colored pencils to color this page in, and then I also have a little bit of Posca somewhere, not sure where it is. And then what else do I have? Oops, I have Francois right over here, and he is done with Black Widow colored pencils, and the sky is done with the Muñoz soft pastel. And let's see, this page was done all with Erosion colored pencils. Very cute. No embellishments or anything like that. Let me see. Oh, this part I just colored in the tree. These two dudes, pugs, I think. I just based them with Distress ink, and yeah, I still have to come back and do the details on that page. Else on this page, this is Louis. Oh no, sorry. Let me see. Okay, so on this page I used Distress ink for the background, Tombow dual brush marker for the vines and the leaves, and then I went in with the Derwent Color Soft to color in the bee and then to shade. I also used Zig Wink of Stella on the wings, and then on Louis here I colored him all with the Erosion, the Tombow Erosion, and no other embellishment. And did I do anything else? Oh yeah, here. I did Bill the Badger, and he is done with Black Widow colored pencils and Sakura Stardust. And then another page where I just did the tree. So I was trying to use the same color for the trees in each of the pages. And I don't know, probably Black Widow or Erosion, one of those. And I think that is it for, yeah. So those are my whips and completed pages in The Ink House by Rory Dobner. My next coloring is the Sweet Shop coloring book. This is illustrated by Chris Price. I have one done in here which I did all with real brush markers. So I used both the Zig Kuretake clear color real brush pens and the Arteza real brush pens. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I think the only one that I really tried to blend with many colors, I was trying to see if it was going to seep through, so it did shadow a little bit, and that was using, I think, 3 different colors. But yeah, I looked up on Google these different candies as a reference, so I was able to find some of them. And yeah, so this is all done with the real brush pens, and I made these look like Milano cookies. So yeah, this was a fun page to do, and the paper is very, very nice to just use real brush pens. So this one is the Sweet Shop coloring book, illustrated by Chris Price. My next coloring is Fay Nouveau, a fairy coloring book by Herb Leonard. I believe I purchased his book on his Etsy store. He does sell his books on Amazon, but I think on Etsy he now has PDFs of each of his books. I'm not sure, I'm not 100% positive, but I will leave links for all of the books that I share in my videos if I can find them. Just to let you know, I am an Amazon affiliate, so if you use the Amazon links, I do get a little back from it. It is at no cost to you, and you are not obligated to use it, but if you do, I thank you so much for doing so. And yeah, so going on, my coloring in Fay Nouveau is of the dragonflies and orchids. And yeah, I had to copy it onto cardstock because it is a double-sided coloring book, and I didn't want to ruin it by pressing too hard on it or anything, making dents on the page. So this is done all with Faber-Castell polychromos. It was a lot of fun to color in, and then a little bit of Zig Wink of Stella here. And yeah, I completed this back in 2018, July 16th. Yeah, I remember coloring this in while I was recovering from gallbladder removal, and it happened on the 4th of July. So this coloring really helped take my mind off the pain, because I didn't like taking the painkillers. I just didn't like being out of it. So yeah, this painting, or this illustration, will always remind me of my gallbladder removal. So yeah, this is my completed coloring in the Fay Nouveau, a fairy coloring book by Herb Leonard. My next coloring is in Archie and Sabrina's Halloween coloring book, and my completed page is this one of Sabrina. I use lots of medium on here. So because they are double-sided, the background is done with acrylic, which holds up very, very well. I did splatter a lot of white acrylic on it, then white Posca. The stars is done with the Kuretake Gansai Tambi. Then I also have some Zig Wink of Stella on her stockings. This is Pentel Sparkle Pop onto silver. The little kitty, Salem, I believe that's what his name is. And there's some Sparkle Pop here on the boots. And I think this is Gansai Tambi on the little banner here with her name. And then I colored the rest of it with Derwent Color Soft. So yeah, so this is my Sabrina. I believe that's my only coloring. Yeah, in Archie and Sabrina's Halloween coloring book. My next coloring is in the Cute Chibi Christmas coloring book and it's illustrated by Christopher Hart. I have one coloring in here. So I did this as a buddy color with 3 of my older kids, and I printed out pages from this book for them to do during the Christmas time, but they never finished. So this is the only completed coloring I have to share in this book. I did the background with Caran-Neo colored 2. The 3 are done with Prismacolor Premier colored pencils. I have a little bit of glitter. I use at Uspika glitter gel pens or glitter pens, and then Zig Wink of Stella glitter pens. There's some on her detail on the dress. I don't know if you can see it, but these 3 are supposed to resemble my 3 older kids that were supposed to do buddy colors with me. This is May, Malia, and Matthew. So yeah, so this is my completed page in the cute chibi Christmas coloring book by Christopher Hart. Okay, so for the next coloring, I have here Coloring Europe, Charming London. This is by Lee Il-sun, and the page that I colored in here is this private garden in London, and I used several different water-based mediums. I used the Kuretake Gansai Tambi for the sky, the bushes and tree. For the flowers and the leaves, I used the Derwent Inktense. I think I also used the Inktense here to look like gravel. And then I used Super Tips, Crayola Super Tips for the red berries. And that was the one that kind of seeped through a little bit. I also used white gel pen to put highlights on the berries, and then white Posca around these little flowers. So yeah, very beautiful book. I really need to get back in here. It was a lot of fun using watercolors in this book, and plus the paper held well, I think. So yeah, so this is the Coloring Europe, Charming London by Lee Il-sun. My next coloring is in Galaxy Girls and Zodiac Sign coloring book. This is by Kristen Glorious Ink. She's also known as Mystic Art Mirrors. And the page I colored in here is this one. And so I based her with Copic Chow alcohol markers. So you can see here, I did a galaxy here, her skin. The marker was running out, so there were streaks going all on her cheeks and over here. So I used the Munoz Soft Pastel to add a little bit of color on top of the streaks to smooth it out a little bit. The alcohol marker that I used for the black portion of the sky, I got from a different set, probably like the spray markers. And for her skin, I shaded it in with Prismacolor Premier colored pencils. And then for the splatter, that is white acrylic. I also used Sakura Metallic for the lines on her face and her body. I used Sakura Stardust for the sparkle in her hair and in the planets in her hair, and also some Aeon Art glitter gel pen. So yeah, very pretty. So this is my completed coloring in Galaxy Girls and Zodiac Sign by Kristen Glorious Ink, also known as Mystic Art Mirrors. My next coloring is in another Kristen Glorious Ink coloring book. This is Fairy Tale Princess, and the page that I colored in here is Alice with the big watch and the rabbit. So for this page, I used several different mediums again. The background was done with Prima watercolors. I don't remember which exact set it was from, but on top of that, because it was so splotchy, I used the Faber-Castell metallic gelatos to smooth on top of it. so it does give a little sheen. Alice was based with alcohol markers. I used Copic Chow, and then I used Karen-Pablos to color her in, and I used different kinds of glitters. I used stickles, so you can see that on the hearts and diamonds. On the spade, I used the Mod Podge Extreme Glitter. I also used that on this red ribbon down here. Yeah, and then lots of white Posca on the rabbit and on the ribbon. So this is my complete coloring in Fairy Tale Princess by Kristen Glorious Ink. My next coloring is in Moon Blossoms. This is by Katrina Payon, and I don't have the coloring in here to share with you because it is at my parents' house, framed and on their wall. So I'm going to go ahead and put a picture of how it looks like on the screen for you guys to see. So I colored that picture for my mom for her birthday a couple years ago, and all of the colors there were inspired by her garden, and then the yellow dress was inspired by a picture of my mom during a festival at the school that she used to teach at. And yeah, so I colored that for her, had it framed and gifted to her for her birthday. So yeah, so that is my completed coloring in Moon Blossoms by Katrina Payon. My next coloring is in Steampunk Coloring Book. This is Joe Benita's Lady Mechanica, and I have one completed in here, which is this beautiful lady. And I based her with both the Touch New and Lemouche alcohol markers. And for pencils, I used Tombow Erosion, and I used the Faber-Castell Polychromos for her skin and I believe her hair also. And yeah, so you can see I did do a base, and there is a colored version that most likely Joe Benitez colored. It's right here, and I wanted to look different, so that's why I picked a silver heart, a mechanical heart, and then purple for her clothing. Yeah, so that is my completed coloring in Steampunk Coloring Book, Joe Benitez Lady Mechanica. My next coloring is in this beautiful book. I don't know how to say this title correctly, but I believe it's translated Puppies, and it is illustrated by Barbara Sobczynska. I hope I said that correct. And I do have one coloring in here, which is this one. So for this page, so cute, I used Kohinoor Polycolor Arteza Expert Colored Pencils and Prismacolor Premier Colored Pencils. And I believe I tried to use some Posca to put some glare in the rear window. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Super cute book. So this is Puppies by Barbara Sobczynska. So my next coloring is illustrated by Adele Lorien, but it is not part of her Meadow Haven coloring book. I purchased her coloring book and the PDF through her Kickstarter, and the page I'm going to share with you, the coloring, was part of a bunch of loose illustrations that were added into the package that I purchased. So I colored this little angel, and you may recognize it because it is my little icon for YouTube. So I colored her with Caran-d'Ache Illuminance. The background is done with Kuretake Gansai Tambi. You can see all the little splatter with the, I don't know, I think it's metallic or opal color. And then I also use white Posca for the snowflakes, most likely for her wings. and her little trim over here. And I also use white Uniball Signal. So this is my coloring from Adele Lorien. My next coloring is in Serena. This is illustrated by Mardel Rubio, and in here this one has kind of like weird paper. It's thick paper, but the texture is not one you'd find like with Amazon coloring books, or the smooth one from like the 10 by 10 shaped coloring books. But I tried different pencils on this page to test it out, and the ones that I liked to use on this paper is the Erosion and the Caran d'Ache Pablos. The Black Widow and the Faber-Castell are a little bit, but the rest of them I did not like, and it's most likely the softer pencils that I didn't like on this paper. And then the water-based mediums worked all right. I think the only thing that went through was the marker. So the page I colored in here is this one, and now I did this back in 2019. So the background was done with the Zig Clean Color Real Brush, just a flat color of blue, indigo probably. And to color this page in, I used both the Caran d'Ache Pablos and the Tombow Erosion. And then you can see that I also used some white Posca. And then for her tail, I used the Gansai Tambi Pearl colors, or opal colors. So I colored it in with pencils first, and then I put the watercolor on top. Because it's translucent, you're able to see the colors, like the blue. I wanted to make it look like it was reflecting, the gem is reflecting off her tail, and the red gem and the fish. So yeah, so this is my completed coloring in Serena by Mardel Rubio. My next coloring is in another Mardel Rubio coloring book. This is Silent Night. It is a Christmas themed coloring book, and I have two colorings in here that were both buddy colors with my dear friend Kelly. So the first one, we did this a couple years ago, and we kind of had like the same color scheme, especially with the scarves and the hats of the snowmen. I think the only thing different were our fairies and our flowers. And yeah, he did his page so beautiful. I loved his. So I based this page with Le Mouchet alcohol markers, and with the orchids and the fairies I used Copic Chow markers. And I used several pencils to color this page in. I used the Speer Farben, Faber-Castell Polychromos, and the Crayola colored pencils. And then all around this page I added Stickles glitter gel, and that's the one that you can spread out so you can see it on the snow. Then I add a little bit on the snowflakes. There is a lot of white Posca all over, and then some Zig Wink of Stella on the fairy wings. So that is the first page, and then the second one is this. So you can see I kind of carried the colors of the fairies into this page, and then if we do another in here this year, this Christmas, I'm going to continue on with the fairies if there is any in the page. So again, Copic Chows on the fairies, and then Ohuhu brush markers for the rest of it. I used Derwent Pro Colors, Colleen colored pencils, Prismacolor Premier colored pencils to color this page in. A lot of white Posca. I do have a little bit of Stickles here, and then my little village on top. I tried to make it look like a Japanese Christmas cake, so all the houses here are supposed to be chocolate, but it looks so bare with just this little village. It's all brown and white, so I went in with Stickles and added garlands for all of the houses, all the little chocolate house. Yep, so that is the 2 pages that I have done in the Silent Night Christmas coloring book by Mardel Rubio. My next coloring is in Mysteria. This is illustrated by Anastasia Elly Koldareva. This was my first book from her, and I did 1 page in this book. It was a buddy color with T from T's World of Adult Coloring. So with this page, I did base her skin first with alcohol markers. I'm not sure which one I used, but the rest of the page was colored with Caran d'Ache Luminance, which I used for her skin. I used Faber-Castell Polychromos for her hair, then Prismacolor Premier colored pencils for the flowers, acrylic background, and then the watercolor in this portion of the background is done with the Kuretake Gansai Tambi, and then the white outline of the flowers is done with the Uniball Signo, a white Uniball Signo, and then there's a little bit of metallic gel pen on the flowers. But yeah, so that is my completed coloring in Mysteria by Anastasia Elly Koldareva. My next coloring is in another Anastasia Koldareva coloring book. This one is called Nocturnes, and the page I have colored in here was a buddy color with the beautiful T, another one, and then so for this page I did do a base of alcohol markers. So you can see I did her skin, the turban, and the sofa. So the pencils that I used for the rest of the page is the Caran d'Ache Pablos, and then no other embellishments. So it's just all pencils. So I did draw in the curtains and the plant over here. I think I meant it to look like an aloe plant, and the sunset. So yes, very happy with this page. I love how vibrant the pink is and the color of her jewelry, and then her skin, because I was worried it was a little bit streaky down over here, so I'm glad I was able to even it out a little bit. So this is my completed coloring in Nocturnes by Anastasia Elly Koldareva. I have a couple of colorings in Fantasia, which is by Nicholas F. Chandrawienata or Nick Filbert. So the first I will share with you is this one, and I did this, I don't remember when, several years ago. I used Prismacolor Premier colored pencils for a majority of the page, and for her skin I used the Faber-Castell Polychromos. I also used some Koh-i-Noor Tritone, and I believe I used that on the stick here, and I also have a little bit of Sakura white jelly roll on her eyes, and then some, I think it's Posca on the middle of these flowers. And yeah, I remember with this one I wanted the dragons to look a little bit like tarnished, but then I'm happy with how it looks right now. It kind of like brings it all together because the dragons match her outfit. So that is my first coloring in here, and then the second one is this one, which I did as a buddy color with Philomena. And so this is my angel. I colored her with Caran d'Ache Luminance, and then the background is black acrylic paint, and then I only used white Posca as an embellishment. Yeah, very simple, very mute colors, but I really like it. So I think I tried to make the wings look silver, so she has like silver metallic wings. But yeah, so my angel and my warrior in Fantasia by Nicholas F. Chandrawienata. I have another by Nick Chandrawienata. This is Eirene, and I have only one coloring in here too, which is this one. So this page, I used Prismacolor Premier colored pencils, and then I also used Tombow Erosion, and I believe I used Erosion on the little pearls here. And then the only other embellishment that I use for this page is Sakura White Jelly Roll. That's on her eyes, her lips, and on the pearls. So I think with this page, I remember it's a limited palette, but then I wanted different tones of metal. So it's like a bright gold, like a green gold, and then copper color. But yeah, that was my intention with this page. And yeah, so this is my completed coloring in Eirene by Nick Filbert. I have one more Nick Filbert coloring book. This is Serene, and you may remember this page because I recently completed this a couple months ago. And so this one is another page that I did as a buddy color with a lovely Philomena, and I based the girl with Copic Chow markers. The flowers are all blended with the Copic markers, and then for pencils I used several. I used the Caran d'Ache Luminance, Faber-Castell Polychromos, and the Tombow Erosion colored pencils. The background was done with the Distress ink, and then I also used white Posca to line the swirls going around to make it look like it's water that's going around her, and then she's kind of in control of it because it's wrapped around her hand. And then I also used some gold Posca in her earring, a little bit of glitter gel pen here in different spots. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So this is my completed coloring in Serene by Nicholas F. Chandrawienata. Okay, so I have 4 books by Jasmine Beckett Griffith to share with you. I'm going to start off with her first one here. And I remember when I first got this book, I kind of stayed away from it. I loved looking at each and every one of her illustrations, but I was just so scared to ruin her work, or I will ruin the book by messing up, that I kind of like stayed away from it for a little bit. But I did finally jump in and color a page in here, well, a section of the page, which is the Pale Medusa right over here. So for her, I used Prismacolor Premier colored pencils, and then a little bit of white Sakura Jelly Roll for her eyes and the eyes of the snake. But yeah, I really want to go back and color in this book, maybe finish the rest of this page in here just to fill it all up. But yeah, love Jasmine's work, so really want to get back in here. So this one is the first book by Jasmine Beckett Griffith. Next I have Mermaids coloring book, again by Jasmine, and the page I completed here is this one, and I was a lot braver than in the other book. So in this one I taped it off because I was using watercolors, and I used the Sakura Koi watercolor set to do this, and the paper turned out alright. So you can see that I used a little bit of alcohol markers for her skin, and then I believe for her skin I used Faber-Castell Polychromos. For everything else I used Prismacolor Premier colored pencils. So yeah, very happy with how this page turned out. I love her pink hair against the dark background, and yeah, very happy with this page. So this is my completed page in Mermaids coloring book by Jasmine Beckett Griffith. My next one by Jasmine is the Halloween coloring book, and in this book I have one completed coloring, which is this one. Again, was very brave coloring in this book, especially using watercolors again. So I used the same one, which is the Sakura Koi watercolor set, and I did base it with Lemouche alcohol markers, and then I believe her dress was done with the Copic Chow markers. I know because it has the brush tip, so I was able to get into the small spaces. And then everything was colored in with the Faber-Castell Polychromos, and then I have just a little bit of white Posca in her eye. And yeah, so this is my completed coloring in Halloween coloring book by Jasmine Beckett-Griffith. I have one more book by Jasmine to share, and it is the Alice in Wonderland coloring book, and in here I have one completed coloring. So for Alice and the Cat, I did do a base of alcohol markers, and you can see that I did some blending for her hair, and especially for the Cheshire Cat. And for pencils, I used the Caran d'Ache Luminance to color her in, to add little strands in the cat's fur. I did use beige Posca to cover the black lines, and then for the cat, to cover the black lines, I mixed a very pale purplish pink color to cover the lines. I did use white Posca for his teeth, but it started to look like Ross from Friends when he bleached his teeth and it was so white. That's what I was picturing when I went and put Posca on top. So I forgot what pencils, probably the Luminance pencils. I tried to dull down the color so it doesn't stand out so much. For the background, I used the Neo Color 2s, and then I went over it with the Luminance to make it look like roses or rose bush, but I didn't want it to look so crisp. I wanted to look like it's far away, so the focus is more on Alice and the cat. And yeah, so I think the whole thing, out of the whole thing, my favorite part is the cat's eyes. I really like the green eyes. But yeah, so that is my coloring in Alice in Wonderland coloring book by Jasmine Beckett-Griffith. Okay, so I have several Creative Haven coloring books to share with you. You can hear the books falling over. So the first one to share with you is Home Sweet Home. This is illustrated by Teresa Goodridge, and the page that I colored in here is this one, a very cozy living room. So for this page, I did do a base of Lemouche alcohol markers. You can see right here, pretty much the whole page. And then I also used the Faber-Castell Polychromos to color this page in, and then little details with the gold Posca. You can see it on the curtains, on the vase, on the wall, painting the pillows, the spines of the books, the cup, and the vase. So yeah, so that is my completed coloring in Home Sweet Home by Teresa Goodridge. Another book by Teresa Goodridge. This is the Main Street coloring book, and I have one completed coloring in here, which is this one, and I did this as a buddy color with a lovely tea. And so with this page, it is another base of Lemouche alcohol markers, you can see. And then for pencils, I use the Colleen colored pencil. And then for the little details on the signs, I use the Uniball gold metallic gel pen. Very pretty, very limited colors. This is my version of a bed and breakfast. So that is my completed coloring in the Main Street coloring book by Teresa Goodridge. So there's going to be several Creative Haven books by Teresa Goodridge. So this is her Enchanted Christmas coloring book. I have one completed in here that I did just this past Christmas. So again, another page with an alcohol marker base. I use the Ohuhu and the Spree brands. For pencils, I use the Holbein colored pencils. And then for embellishments, I use gold Posca, silver Posca, yellow Posca to cover the lines for the moon, and then lots of white Posca and a white gel pen for the stars, and then for the little details on the berries. Yeah, so those are my little angels or fairies from Enchanted Christmas coloring book by Teresa Goodridge. Okay, so I believe this is my last Teresa Goodridge book to share. This is her Country Christmas coloring book, and the page I completed in here is this one, and I used several different markers for this page, trying to find colors from different sets. I used Bic, Arteza Everblend, Touch New, and the Lemouche alcohol markers. For pencils, I used the Prismacolor Premier colored pencil, used a lot of white Posca, and then stickles on the snowflakes and the tree. And yeah, so that is my completed coloring in Country Christmas coloring book by Teresa Goodridge. My next couple colorings are in Steampunk Fashions coloring book. This is illustrated by Marty Noble. So I'll go to my first one from this book, which is this page. So with this one, I did do a base of Touch New and Lemouche alcohol markers. And then for pencils, I used the Faber-Castell Polychromos. I did do a black Posca background. There's some stickles on her gloves and sleeves. Some silver Uniball Signo on the B. Zig Wink of Stella on the details. That is the glitter pen. So the details on her stockings and on the boots. So that is the first one. And then in the second one, another shiny one. Again, based with alcohol markers. I used a Ohuhu brand. For pencils, I used the Faber-Castell Polychromos. This green background is done with the Paul Rubin Pearlescent. I used like 2 or 3 different colors, I think. And then I have some Sakura Metallic gel pen for the little details in her outfit. And the silver on the frame is done with the Link Shine glitter gel pen. So those are my 2 colorings in the Steampunk Fashions coloring book by Marty Noble. So I have another coloring book by Marty Noble. This is the Art Nouveau Animal Designs. This is one of 2 books that I first bought when I began adult coloring. And so yeah, so I picked this book to purchase, and then the other one was the Angie Grace Mandala book. And so you're going to see my beginner coloring in this one, and I'm not going to change it. I'm going to leave it. I think one of the pages is a whip, so I may change that one. But when I began coloring, I didn't know what kind of mediums to get. So for this one, the title page, I used the Pentel markers. I don't know, felt tip markers for this one. Wasn't very happy with that, and I think I went and purchased the Prismacolor Premier colored pencils afterwards. So this is my first page colored in this book with the Prismacolor Premier colored pencils. So you can see I completed it back in May 21st, 2015, and I You can see that I did not want to press down on the pencils. It's very light coloring. I did try to do some shading, but yeah, for the first time, I like it. I'm very happy with it. I think I was trying to save my pencils at the same time too, because, you know, they're expensive pencils, and then I didn't want to keep sharpening them, so I was just trying to lightly use it in my colorings. But now I know to get the best out of the pencils, you gotta really use those pencils, press it down and everything, get the colors out. So my next coloring, let me see, I believe I have a couple whips here. This is the one that I want to go back in and probably fix up and complete. I keep telling myself that, so I should pull this out and leave it out so that I can finish. And then I have one more, another one with the Pentel felt tip markers. I was trying to see maybe I can blend with it, but I wasn't really liking it, so I kind of like abandoned this page. So I don't think I'll go back to it, but the rest of this book I do like. I should get back to it. I think that was it. Yeah. So this is the Art Nouveau Animal Designs by Marty Noble. So the next several Creative Haven coloring books are colored by numbers and are by George Tufeksa. So this one is the Christmas one, and I have one page done in here, which is this Christmas cake. And with this one, I started off with the Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer. And when I activated it, it felt very pale and just flat. So I came back in with the Faber-Castell Polychromos, using the same colors again, but shading it and just filling it in, defining some of the areas. So that I like it. So this is my completed coloring in the Christmas Color by Number by George Tufeksa. Next one is the Autumn Inspirations Color by Number. I have one in here. And so this one I used several different alcohol markers. I used the Tau Tree, Arctics, and the Spree. And I did a washi tape border. And then there is a little bit of glitter gel pen. I used the A&, Art one. So the little speckles on the pumpkins and the squash, I used a glitter gel pen. So that is my completed page in Autumn Inspirations by George Tufeksa. I have another book by George. This is Glorious Gardens, Color by Number, and this is actually my first George Tufeksa book and my first coloring I did of his. And so I used pencils, and the pencils I used is Cezanne 2. It's kind of an off-brand, it's very hard leaded pencil, and it's kind of like, for me, it's similar to Crayola colored pencils. But it was a lot of fun coloring with pencils. It just takes a lot more time, especially smoothing out the colors. That's why now I just use alcohol markers. It's a lot faster, and I like how vibrant it looks. So yeah, so this is my first coloring in this Glorious Gardens Color by Number coloring book. I have one more by George. This is Around the World Color by Number, and the page I have completed in here is this very beautiful Japanese page, and this was done with Tau Tree and the Spree alcohol markers. Yeah, I love how this one looks. I decided with his color by numbers I should just start with the lightest one down to the darkest one, so whatever the first color is, from 1 all the way down to 24, and it works out very well, just doing the light colors then the dark colors. So yeah, so this is my completed coloring in Around the World Color by Number by George Tufeksa. And my last Creative Haven coloring book to share with you guys is the Floral Design Color by Number coloring book by Jessica Mazurkowicz. And I completed just this page. So this was done with Bic and Sharpies. Very simple, easy to do, color by number. I should do more in here, probably be really quick. So that is my completed page in Creative Haven, Floral Design Color by Number by Jessica Mazurkowicz. Okay, so now I'm going to be sharing with you all of my completed colorings in Coloring Heaven magazines that I have. And I'm going to start off with this collection's issue, Christmas Traditions by Fabiana Attanasio. And so the completed coloring that I have in here is this one, which I did with a base of Ohuhu brush markers. And then the pencils that I used to color this page in is the Faber-Castell Polychromos and the Crayola colored pencils. I also used white Posca, some gel pens for some embellishment, glitter washi tape for this area right over here, and then some Muñoz soft pastel in the background. And you can see I tried to put in Santa and her daughter right in her phone. So it was a lot of fun when coloring this. This was a buddy color with the lovely Sandra. So this is my completed coloring in the collection's issue of Christmas Traditions by Fabiana Attanasio. I have another collections issue called Sarah K, and this is illustrations from Vivian Kubbos. And the page that I did in here is this one, and I copied it onto cardstock. It is called Animals, Marie, and Bigatti. And so for this page, I based her with Lemiche markers, and then for pencils, I used the Derwent Color Soft. The ground was done with Derwent Inktense, and then the flowers were all done with the Zig Kuretake Real Brush pens. And I do have a little bit of Sakura Stardust and metallic here and there on this page. And then the background is done with Distress ink. So that is my completed coloring from the Coloring Heaven collection, Sarah K by Vivian Kubbos. I think I have one more collector's issue, and this is Frightlings Halloween. This is by the illustrator Tabitha Thorpe. I have two colorings in here, so this is my first one. And so this is done with alcohol markers as a base. I had the Arteza Everblend and the Lemiche markers. And for pencils, I used the Arteza Expert colored pencils and also some Crayola colored pencils. I also used white Posca to line the flowers and to use as accents, and then also stickles on the little bugs. Very cute. And then the other one that I did is this page, and I believe I used this page to share how I color rain and then rain on an object or something like that. If I can find the video, I'll put it up above here or down below in the video description. So again, with this page, I did do a base of alcohol markers, Lemiche, and the Touch New markers. And then for pencils, I use Caran d'Ache Luminance, Prismacolor Premier colored pencils, and then I use Sakura White Jelly Roll plus the white Posca pen for the white. And then his wings were actually done with gouache, if you can tell. And that is the Arteza brand, and then also glossy accents for the heart and his eyes. I don't know if you can see it, but I colored the rose to look like this one, or maybe it's already there, and so it's supposed to be reflecting. So here's another rose in his eye, so he's like looking at the rose petals falling off. Very sad but cute. So these are my 2 pages in the collector's issue of Frightlings Halloween by Tabitha Thorpe. Okay, so please excuse any screaming you may hear in the background or dogs barking. So now we're going into the regular issues from Coloring Heaven. This is Cutesy Christmas Special, issue number 68, and it has several illustrators in here. So the page that I colored in here is this one. This is called The Hygge Pox Girl, and this is by the illustrator Layeringless Art. So this was done as a buddy color with the lovely Sandra. And so with this page, I did do a base with Lemeshay markers, but with the fox, with her fur, I did do a little bit of blending with the Copic Chows. Then I went in with pencils. I used the Tombow Erosion and the Caran d'Ache Pablos. I used Nouveau Glitter for the little snow in the background, the little dots that you can see. Her sweater and the little heart on her knees have some Zig Wink of Stella for shimmer. And then there's also a little bit of white Posca right over there. So that is my coloring by Layeringless Art in the Coloring Heaven Cutesy Christmas Special. My next coloring is in Fantasy Princesses Special. This is issue number 61 with illustrations by Jash Lee. And the page I colored is the Princess Bee. And I did this page as a buddy color with the lovely Sandra again. And so with this page, so much glitter. It just reminds me of pollen. Yeah. So with this page, I just went all out and had fun with this page. I did a base of Lemeshay markers and then Koh-i-Noor Polycolor colored pencils on top to shade it in. And then the background was actually like blue and black acrylic. And then I used Stickles glitter gel on top of it, and then also on the wings. There's some Nouveau glitter on her, plus some white Posca and ivory Posca, and then Sakura glaze. Sorry. Very, very shimmery. Lots of pollen. So that is my Princess Bee from Fantasy Princesses Special by Jash Lee. Next, I have Christmas Special. This is issue number 55, again by several illustrators. And I think I just did one in here. Yeah, I did Santa, and you can see that the marker that I used yellowed, and it was from the Lemeshay markers, the reds. So did it over here too. I think that's all it went to. Yeah, I didn't go to the next page. But yeah, so here is my Santa. Again, with alcohol markers, I use Faber-Castell Polychromos to color it in. And then you can see the shimmer, that is the Zig Wink of Stella. I also used a little bit of silver gel pen, and on the cat too. So he's blingy. So yep, so that is my Santa, and then the illustrator is Charles Santori. And this is from the Christmas Special, issue number 55. Okay, so next I have a couple colorings in the Halloween Special. This is issue number 54, and it has, again, a lot of illustrators in this issue. So the first one is an illustration by Vera Ma, also known as Lemon Shortbread, and I copied it onto cardstock. So Here it is. So based with alcohol markers, I think it's right here. Yep. So I use Arteza Everblend, Lemouche, and Touch New markers. Even the border is also markers. And then for pencils, I use the Faber-Castell Polychromos. I did also use some Zig Kuretake Clean Color Real Brush. I think it was for the background here. And I used white Posca for her hair. And then also for the trim of her dress. And a little bit of silver metallic gel pen here and stickles. Yeah, so that is the first one. And then I have one more, which is an illustration by Carissa Rose. So this is my first like heavily grayscale coloring that I've done, just to show an example of, like here you can see how dark, lots of dark black areas, and then the rest are a little gray. So for this one, I based her with alcohol markers, which you can see right over here. Looks kind of funny. And then I colored on top of that with Caran d'Ache Luminance. So yeah, it was fun seeing it come together, brightening up the colors of her mask and her hair, and then her skin coming to life. Yeah, it was just a lot of fun. And then on the sides or the background, I started off with Distress ink, but it wasn't dark enough, so I came in with the Munoz Soft Pastel to darken it up a little bit more. So yeah, very happy with this page. And so that is my 2 colorings in the Halloween special. My next coloring is in the World of Princesses special, issue number 52, with illustrations by Fabiana Trere, and I colored the ancient Egyptian princess. I did copy it onto cardstock again. So for this one, I used several mediums. I did base it with Lemouche markers, and then for pencils, I used both the Crayola colored pencils and the Lemouche pencils. So I do have some stickles on this gem up here. I do have a tutorial of how I colored this in, so if I can find the video, I'll put it up above here on the screen. So there's stickles, and then here you can see that I added some glossy accents, some Sakura Stardust, more glossy accents for her lips, and then also for the beads in her head costume thing. Head, I forgot what you call that. So the background, I did black acrylic with Mod Podge on top. And then it said I also use a Tombow dual brush marker. It might have been in the details, probably the blue details. Headdress, that's what it is. Yeah. So this is my completed coloring of the ancient Egyptian princess in World of Princesses Special by Fabiana Trere. Next, I have Gothic Fairies Special, issue number 45, with illustrations by Myka, Jelina. And in this one, I did this page here. I was channeling Taylor Swift. It was, when I colored this, it was around the time that her Me video came out, and she had that dress where she's sitting on top of like a waterfall, and then it was so colorful and stuff. So I was just inspired and colored it the way her music video looked like. So with this one, I did a base of Lemouche markers, and then on top of that, I used Faber-Castell Polychromos with the background Munoz Soft Pastel, and then white Posca and probably white gel pens sprinkled around the page. And I think there's some silver gel pens on her wings. Very cute. And her name is Phoebe. So that is my completed coloring in Gothic Fairy Special by Myka, Jelina. Next, I have a coloring in the Dragons in Nature Special, issue number 43 by Anastasia, Elly, Koldareva. And again, I copied it onto cardstock. I don't know, at the beginning that's what I was doing, but then I stopped and I started coloring in the magazines. So this one is called Sweet Dreams in a Berry Land, and I do have a video of myself coloring this page. I was sharing how I colored the leaves and the berries, and then I think I just finished the whole thing in a video. I don't know if I can find it or if I'll be able to add it on the links above, but it will be in my how-to playlist, so I might just put the playlist up above here. So with this page, I used Derwent Inktense for the background, so I made it look a little bit splotchy. I did one layer, came back with another color to make it look like the ground, and then I used Prismacolor Premier colored pencils to color this page in. Used white Uniball Signo to line the flowers, and the Zig Wink of Stella on the dragon. Very cute. So that is my coloring in the Dragons in Nature Special by Anastasia, Elly, Koldareva. My next coloring is in Fairies and Friends Special, issue number 38, illustrations by Meredith Dillman. I have one in here, which is this one. And I like how it's a frame. It's a little warped because the original background was watercolors and I didn't like how it looked, so I went over it with black acrylic. But the warpiness did not go away, even though it's been like smushed between other magazines and books. But anyways, with this page, I colored this with Holbein artist colored pencils, Caran d'Ache Pablos, Faber-Castell Polychromos, and then Tombow Erosion. And I did not use any embellishment on this. There is also little itty bitty fairies down here. So yeah, hard to see when it's always bending or warping. But that is my completed page, and this one is called, keep forgetting, The Ring of Seasons, from the Fairies and Friends Special, illustrated by Meredith Dillman. Next, I have Fairy Tale Special, issue number 36, with illustrations by Hannah Lynn, and the page that I colored in here is The Little Mermaid. Still love how vibrant this page is. So for this page, I again use markers, which is the Lemachet and the Touch New markers. And then for pencils, I used the Holbein artist colored pencils. I also used some Tombow dual brush pen and Arteza twine markers to do the tail, and some white Posca and a Uniball Signo Gold, I think, for her jewelry. Some, I don't know, Sakura Glitter Clear, and is that Zig Wink of Stella on her tail. And more white Posca here. Yeah, very pretty. I just like how vibrant this picture looks. So this is my Little Mermaid in the Fairy Tale Special by Hannah Lynn. And next I have Anime Special, issue number 34. This has illustrations from Dusty at Collateral Damage Studios, and I did this page, which is called Late for School. So for this page, I just used the Colleen colored pencils, and then Posca, which is the yellow and the white one. And that's it. A very cute page. And I forgot, I was watching an anime my daughter's made me watch. And so I based her coloring on an anime character. I forgot what it's called. But yeah, so that is my completed coloring in the anime special by Dusty from Collateral Damage Studios. So I have one more from Coloring Heaven, and it is Starry Night Special with illustrations by Wei Shan Ong. And you may have seen this recently. I just shared it in my most recent completed coloring video for May. And the page I did in here is The Little Mermaid. And so for this one, I based it with both Lemeshay and Ohuhu markers. The vines I blended with the Tombow dual tip markers, if you can see it. The frame is Gold Posca. I colored this page in with the Faber-Castell Polychromos. And then I also have some embellishment in here that you can see. Some Sakura Stardust, white Posca, Stickles, Sakura metallic gold on her jewelry, Sakura, I forgot, Stardust, clear, then some Zig Wink of Stella on her tail. But yeah, love the little crabs. Here's the frogs. Very, very cute. This was a buddy color with my dear friend Kelly. So that is the last coloring to share for this video. So this one is again Coloring Heaven's Starry Night Special by Wei Shan Ong. So that is it, my friends. This is part 6 of all of my completed colorings. I hope that you guys enjoyed seeing what I've shared in this video. I think I will have maybe 2 or 3 more videos to do. I have my color by numbers, PDFs. I have all of my Amazon printed coloring books to share. So yeah, I'm going to try to get them all together and ready and tagged so that I can just film it and get it out to you guys. So thank you all so much, you know, for being patient with me, for all of your wonderful comments and for your support. I really, really, really do appreciate it. So I'll let you guys go now. I will see you in my next video. Please take care, keep safe, and happy colorings, my friends. Bye-bye.